In order to develop machine learning or deep learning applications, you need huge amounts of data. But in terms of
what about Fajr? I love them. Guys.
But
The
I
white
realized
guys.
exactly, and
I
but
think
then
that's a developer thing, that.
Saudi and Bahrain, Kuwait, Pakistan, there's a lot of untapped potential there.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to part 2 of the Tarteel review. I'm going to be interviewing one of the co-founders of the amazing Tarteel artificial intelligence application, who is Anas Abu Alan. I'll be interviewing him and you're going to see the questions. Stay tuned, follow me, enjoy it. And if you want to leave any comments or suggestions, please leave them in the chat. And Anas will reach out to you as well.
قلبي وروحي أحرفي ولساني عربية حسبي.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum. And like I said, brothers and sisters, we are now live with Anas. And Anas is joining us from California, correct?
So I was in California, but now I'm in Boston. I'm in Massachusetts. Okay.
We sort of missed like the first part. And Anas, just for your reference, I've got 2 cameras here, and then when we edit the video, you'll see the different B-roll clips, just to keep it interactive, so to keep the audience engaged with the questions. I've just prepared a bit of a deck as well, and you guys missed a lot of fun, and we're just going to be very informal, just two developers meeting and talking, and that's how we're going to stick to it. So Anas, I've prepared a few questions. I've got the questions here with me, and I will try to follow it script by script, but I guess we're just going to go off a bit of a tangent sometimes. Just for an introduction then, for my followers as well, and please, if you like this video, please watch part 1 of the video where I reviewed the Tarteel, world's first artificial intelligence Qur'an application. And please hit the subscribe button and the like button. Before I do my introduction, I'll let Anas go first. So Anas, can you tell me about yourself, especially in the last 2 years, who you are, where you're from?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that'll also cover the context that might have been missed in the recording. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, just jazakallah khair for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to talk about the project I'm working on. In terms of myself, so I was born in the U.S. in Cambridge, Massachusetts, right beside MIT. There was like a small Muslim community there, and that's where most of my upbringing was. But later on, I think in like 2nd or 3rd grade, I moved actually to the UAE, to Abu Dhabi. My dad found a job there, and he actually started one of the first psychiatric clinics in the UAE. You might have heard of it. It's called the American Center for Psychiatry and Neurology, ACPN. Maybe it's I know, because I know now they have like branches in like Dubai and so I did all my high school in the UAE, in Abu Dhabi, and in 11th grade I actually moved back to the US to finish my high school and do my undergraduate. And
your family is back in the US with you, or there's some in Abu Dhabi?
They stayed in Abu Dhabi for like 2-3 years, and then they came back to the US. So yeah, and then that's when I did my undergraduate. I never started as a software engineer. I was doing mechanical. I saw all the physics involved, and I was like, nope, I'm gonna be an electrical and computer engineer. And so most of my study was in the low level, but all my software background came from some robotics research that I was doing. So like all the software is like non-traditional, and then like all the speech to text technology, the ML background also has nothing to do with like speech to text. It all came from like robotics and reinforcement learning, so that field of machine learning and AI. And it was during the undergraduate where I started working on Tarteel. That's a whole other story, but we can
so we've got Tarteel. So which companies have you worked for, just to benefit for the audience, so we get to know?
So Tarteel started out just like a side project with a few friends that I met online. I mean, like, just to mention, like, this was all online. Like, I never actually met the people who, like, it started. I'll get to that story in a bit. But it started as a side project, and then after graduation, I worked at Amazon Web Services,
Okay.
AWS
Okay.
RoboMaker,
Okay.
where we worked on like developing basically like tools for roboticists.
They're
So I
coming to the
worked.
UAE, AWS. You heard that?
Yes, I did.
We're getting data centers here.
Yeah, we have our first. So one of our service is basically multi-cloud or like multi-region. So like this way, like we minimize latency.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
one of our services in Bahrain, but you know, if there's a strong demand, maybe we might shift it from Bahrain to
Yeah,
UAE.
there's a strong demand. There's a strong demand.
There is, I definitely see it. I mean, if they can say like, all right, you deliver better like latency to Saudi and the UAE, I'm all for it, honestly.
Actually, interestingly enough, though, so there's another video I'll be releasing soon, inshallah, with the specifics in the UAE. They already have two CloudFront origins here, but the latency is nothing compared to something like Akamai. Especially here is with Bahrain, and then you've got the India POP servers, and then the UK. So there's actually, if you guys are watching, there's a market for a CDN. I've always said, like, I've got too much on at the moment, but imagine a CDN in Central Africa, like Middle East, North Africa, a solid CDN. Like Somalia, all these markets are ready to like really take off.
Oh yeah.
So at the moment,
yeah, there's like a huge investment like opportunity, I think, in Africa, and China's capitalizing on that, by the way. So that's just like
with Alibaba Cloud.
I don't think with Alibaba Cloud, but also just with like infrastructure. I read like a news article about this a while ago, but like even most of our users are like coming also from Nigeria.
Okay.
And so like,
yeah, I was watching. I read some of the comments. Mashallah.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what's the best way to reach those people. So
okay.
Obviously, like investing in Africa, I think is a step forward. But yeah, I mean, like I was at AWS, I was at RoboMaker, and then I left in August last year to start my master's at Carnegie Mellon, master's in robotics and CS, and basically I'm working on Tarteel and then just doing research in some classes on the side.
Nice, mashallah. So let's go. What is Tarteel?
Good question. So Tarteel initially started out as just a data collection project for the audience who's not familiar with deep learning or machine learning. In order to develop machine learning or deep learning applications, you need a huge amounts of data. And to be fair, like even the data that we have right now isn't enough for state-of-the-art results. State-of-the-art results usually entails, depending on what type of data you're looking at, but for like audio, usually it's around like 9,000 hours of audio. Currently, we have around like 3,000 hours of like labeled quality usable audio. Really, in order to empower machine learning applications, you need to collect huge amounts of data. So whether if it's for image detection, you use for images, for speech to text, it's audio, for NLP, it's text. And it's much easier to scrape text off the internet than it is to scrape other forms of information, which is why you see like huge, leaps being made in the field of natural language processing. So we started out as just collecting data. We asked people online like, hey, we're looking to build ML applications. We want to collect audio data. Once we collected audio data and we're able to create a proof of concept, we're like, okay, hold on, like we can actually solve a lot of problems that Muslims are facing with the Qur'an, specifically around improving the whole experience with the Qur'an and improving Muslims' relationship with it. So we developed basically the idea that we want to build a Qur'an application powered by AI that actually helps Muslims have a better relationship and engagement with the Qur'an. So that's what it is from a high level.
Yeah, I've been using the application, and inshallah you'll see the review. And I'm a founder of a school, the hifz.com, which is a 6-month and 12-month hifz program where you memorize the entire Quran in 6 months and 12 months. And I'm going to encourage the students to use it. It's amazing so far, the work that you've done. Actually, interesting enough, last year, one of my friends who's, mashallah, he's set himself up in the Middle East for a few years. He's a big investor. He actually approached me for an idea of a artificial intelligence Qur'an application. And I said that I actually thought, I just don't have the time to do it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you, brothers. When I came across it, I was so happy that somebody else is taking the project up, because it was only a matter of time for it to happen. I'm going to talk a bit about AI and like the Muslim world in the balance, and I'd be really interested to know what you think about that. So, how big is the team? Do you work in sprints, or how do you guys work? You said you met online. In fact, can we do the story of how you met?
Yeah, no, I think that makes the most sense, honestly. So so Tarteel as an idea, I think, began with a brother named two brothers, Muhammad Musa and Abdul Latif, out in the Bay Area, which is just like, I think it was in 2016 or something. Just basically having a voice assistant, AI powered like Qur'an voice assistant. And so this basically includes correction, listening to your recitation and giving you feedback on it. In 2018, Abdul Latif basically started out a Muslim hackathon in the Bay Area. And one of the projects that came out there, I think there was 5 other brothers who were working on it as well. Is basically just a data set collection project. So there was a hackathon. It was 2 days, and they worked on it. I think about a month after they publicly announced it, I saw a Facebook post, and I was like, "Hey, I want to work on this project. I want to help out." And as things began to progress, I started working on it more and more, and some of the other brothers phased out. They went on to do like their own startup, but Abdul Latif and I sticked on, and later on we had Muhammad Musa join us again. He's
the CTO, yeah?
He's the CTO now, yes. So yeah, Abdul Latif.
So there's three of you guys.
So we have 3 basically people who were there like from the get-go, but we also had a bunch of volunteers along the way. So initially we wanted to have this as an open source project. So that's how we tried to maintain that model for as long as possible. We've had volunteers here and there help us out with the website, with the mobile app, and mashallah, I think they've done amazing work. But what we've realized is really, if we want to build a quality Muslim product, we need to dedicate like full-time resources on this. And so it was very difficult to work. Not to say like open source is bad. Like I honestly am fully in support of the open source model, but with our approach, it really didn't work out because the signal to noise ratio was too high. We were getting too many people like who were interested and involved, and onboarding took them a lot of time. And the volunteers, obviously you don't usually want to have like a certain level of code quality in the application. So it didn't work out for us. So we decided to say, okay, we have like 2-3 volunteers who stuck with us. Let's stick with this team, and let's stick to it. So right now we have basically 4 people working on it. Myself, Muhammad Musa, Abdul Latif, and a brother named Aqil, who's working on basically all the design, product, and strategy. So all these designs are his work, mashallah. Like he's been doing an amazing job of like polishing the application. And then we have a few volunteers also helping us out. So we have 2-3 volunteers just helping us out in various directions.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and we
guys, I'm going to link the descriptions of each individual on Twitter, and if you go to my blog as well, you'll have the full transcript of the interview. And if you subscribe as well, there's going to be a lot of posts, inshallah, and newsletters with more interviews, and our relationship will revolve with the Tarteel team, and especially learning along the way about their progress and with their AI. And please support them. As you can see, the work, and when we come now to the solutioning and the architecture, this is why I'm big on, this is one of the reasons why I made the YouTube channel, is that I want to help the Muslim world. First of all, talk about tech and it's there's just so much going on. Like with KSA, the Arab world is about to boom with code in the next 5 years. Smart cities are coming around, and like Anna said, the quality of developers is second to none. You cannot. It's fine to have a commercial application and still work with it. How else are you gonna fund the idea of a CDN and the latency that you want to achieve? So we don't have a whiteboarding here. I don't actually in the villa that I'm in. So unfortunately, I've got my sons, but I'm not going to show that. I will try to do some animations for you guys so you can see how the application works when Anas explains it. How does the application work? We're going to get into like with the Tajweed and the mistakes and the recording, and there's another recent video about Abdul Latif where he was doing about harakat. And I'm sure you've been asked this question 1,000 times, so I'll let you explain it.
Yeah, no, of course. So I guess where's the best place to start? I guess we can start with just like the user journey, like when you enter the application. So we iterated on a few different ideas. So we've actually like between the first implementation of the app, like on the site and like on mobile, I think we've iterated like twice. So we've actually refactored like most of our code base twice. So for those like out there, like, usually your first iteration is not going to be the best.
Okay, guys. So like I know a lot of the people who are listening that some people are very deaf and some people are just going to be like skipping. So I'm going to put the timestamps here. For those who know, I'm a little bit rude, and I'm going to try to cut Anas off in a few sections, right? So Anas, like when you hit, I think the users get it. When you come into your app, the welcome screen, the UI is there. You can optional to register or sign in. When you hit the record button, well, let's talk about that because your application's native, yeah, or is it in React or something?
It's React Native. So
React Native.
Let's start with the record button. Basically, there's a lot of optimizations we've been doing just for that single press. Like that that's the thing we've optimized like to the T. Everything else we haven't been doing a good job of. And like we're aware of it. Users complain to us. They're like, oh, the UX is bad here. Like, the onboarding.
The scrolling of the Qur'an. There's many things. Yeah.
There's a lot of issues that we need to resolve and that we're consistently working on. But the one thing that, this is like our one of our like
in the UK we call it the jam in the donut.
Yeah.
There's a few. There's more better ones than that. No.
Yeah, but this is like what we've been focusing on mostly. So the moment you hit the record button, the audio, rather than processing audio in the JavaScript layer, like the higher level JavaScript layer, we actually process it in the native layer, just because sending huge chunks of audio from native to JavaScript is, very time consuming.
Wow, so you went to that level.
Yeah. I mean,
milliseconds there.
Yeah, so it saves us a lot of time. Like I think it was like I don't remember how much, but at least 100 milliseconds. Because there's a lot of places that we want to shave latency off.
Okay.
So everything is done in the native layer. So like we try to minimize any sort of audio processing at all. So it goes to the native layer, and then what we do is we have a website. We create a WebSocket connection, and so we stream the audio over to a server. And that server is basically where it does all the audio processing. So that's where the speech to text happens. So we convert the speech into text. And then what we do is we have like our own algorithm that basically tries to first identify where you're reciting in the Quran. So we also built our own like search engine tuned just for the Quran. That also uses a highly optimized library. It's like compiled. It's like a compiled search engine so that your queries are instant. And then once we identify where you're reciting in the Quran, we try to keep you matched and follow along with you. And that, there's like a consistent connection. Basically, it's a socket connection. So we're streaming the audio and we're streaming back your information about where you are in the Quran, so that we can give you that highlighting, essentially.
So when you hit the record button, then the file is converted to what, WAV, MP3, or you break down the bit rate?
No files. We use the raw audio stream. So we take the raw audio stream and in chunks. So like I think it's like in 4,096 bytes.
Is it Adobe Real server, or what server are you using for that?
It's a Node server. It's a Node.js
MashaAllah, fantastic.
Yeah. All hosted on AWS. So this is another. So this is our first optimization. Is that on the client, everything is done in the raw audio and on the native code, and it's sent to the server. The server also uses like a WebSocket. I think it's called micro WebSocket. It's compiled in C++, so that it's very fast. Minimal latency, and then we deployed our server in multiple regions. So we have one in US, Italy, Bahrain, or no, we had one in Bahrain and the EU, but instead we switch it to Italy and then Malaysia, because we found that it's easier to serve folks in Egypt and the UK by having just one location in I think it was Italy, EU South, that's what they called it, and then in Malaysia.
You've got Ireland as well.
They have Ireland, yeah, but I think for this it was because a lot of our users are in Egypt and the UK, so we had to strike a balance between hosting in those regions.
When the raw files are sent to the server, and first of all, guys, Tarteel is very much they are fully anti-privacy as well, so your files are completely safe. You now have the machine learning engine. What's that wrote in, and how do you extract like the text? So like, for example, Yasin.
Yeah.
What would you do that now with that file? You've got this
Yeah. So even then, this whole time, by the way, we're not operating on files. Like we're operating on raw audio, just to minimize any sort of processing. The audio is basically just streamed to the ML model, and the ML model basically produces a text. And we keep basically a window of audio, so it's continuously streamed. So for the technically inclined,
I've noticed.
It's basically a ring buffer, or like a queue. So as audio comes in, like you shave what's coming out and then you keep what's in. So this way the ML model has context on the previous words, on the previous audio, so it can better transcribe what's coming next, essentially.
When you convert it to text, then you match it and highlight it as the database reference as you need to. That's one of the things what I love about it, because Fusha is when you're reciting from the Quran and you're seeing the translation, it's really a rewarding experience, mashallah.
So that's basically like how like that ML process works.
Jazakallah khairan. When with the audio file itself, with Abdul Latif, can you talk about like how do you check for mistakes? Are you checking for mistakes?
So we don't currently check for mistakes. So prior to Ramadan, we were working on deploying a model that would hopefully enable us to work towards mistake correction. Unfortunately, we weren't able to hit the deadline, and we had to deal with Ramadan fires. So we had our first, I remember in Ramadan we were expecting 5,000-10,000 people to join, but in the first day we had 50,000 people. Our servers went down, and for
my God, no way.
for 8 hours. Even though I set up I learned all this when I was.
I was just coming to the DevOps now as well. You did that one.
It's because and there's things that you can write tests and all that stuff. There's stuff that you can never expect that what happens when you operate at scale. And so I learned all this stuff when I was at AWS, auto scaling, how do you make sure you have enough machines per provision, enough servers, load balancing, all that stuff, but it still wasn't enough. There were issues with the server itself that we had to modify and with the deployment. So for about 8 hours. I still remember it was like a good 2 days. Like we were just like trying to fix all these bugs and issues.
So is the learning, the feedback, you're still working on that engine?
Yes. So I didn't want to sidetrack from that actually. So we did want to work on correction, but we didn't get to deliver that in time. That's what I'm currently working on right now is focusing just on improving the ML model so we can get to a state where it can do correction. Because one of the main issues we had from before is the inference time. So when you feed audio into an ML model, it takes time obviously to process.
Yeah.
Given the high bar like we set up for ourselves, like we can't really go any slower. If we go any slower, like we break the user experience. So what happened is like we had a bit of better accuracy, but it was at the expense of the computation time. So alhamdulillah, we revised our architecture so that we have better, it's a faster computation time, but we sacrificed a bit of the accuracy, where I'm working on basically improving it right now.
Inshallah.
Alhamdulillah, we have the last experiment I ran, it was less than, it was 9%, 9.8% word error rate.
Oh, fantastic.
So I'm working on basically optimizing that. But once we have like that ML model, what we can basically do is start having more accurate like speech to text, and then from there transitioning over into basically identifying mistakes. So the way we're thinking of mistake correction is first identifying it on the word level. Is did you say a word correctly or incorrectly? Once we are confident that we have this down,
is this including tajweed, like
without tajweed, without
so just haraka, fatha, kasra?
Exactly.
So using أفحسبتم أن خلقنا, you would
we wouldn't be able to pick those up, and we're not able to pick those up now actually accurately. That's why I'm talking about improving the ML model accuracies, because right now, like if you say a word correctly, it'll identify the word, but it might still continue because you might say like it might not capture.
I've done that. I cheat on the application all the time. First person to say. And brothers and sisters, I'm not interrupting unless, again, I'm going to say, please support Tarteel and donate generously. It's a sadaqah jariyah for you, for reciting on the application, feeding back to their team. Keep supporting them. And inshallah, Allah will inspire you on us. You'll come up with it. You'll come up with a solution or something to get that balance. Can we just talk a little about, so that's what you do with the premium, the offering that you have, the statistics, the analytics. I've got here a question around that. So do you have any like interesting data you can share? Like,
yeah, if you told me beforehand, it would have been nice to show some graphs. Maybe I can pull some up, but I can like, I don't know. I posted it on Twitter a while ago, is some of the interesting things going on, especially like in Malaysia, we saw in Ramadan. Is basically like peaks during Aisha time. So like every day during Aisha, basically what you do is you see like a peak in usage, and so like it goes up and goes down, goes up and goes down. So that was very interesting to see. But in terms of
what about Fajr? Guys, your server must be optimal.
I think people are sleeping, but I won't comment on users and Fajr. But I mean, to be fair, like, I don't know, because like people want to follow along in Tarawih.
If Tarteel was your mom, if Tarteel was the sheikh who used to teach you, comes with a stick, you know? We can think of a couple of them.
Yeah, I won't tread in that direction. I think we'll try to be a bit nicer.
Your data is safe, guys. Your data is safe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy also to talk about what else you do with the data. So what's interesting is recently we were also running some analytics. Hamad Musa actually just ran some of this. I also want to find some of it. Some of the interesting insights is basically a lot of people, start reciting from like Surah Al-Baqarah, Jaza Amma, what do you call it, Surat al-Mulk, Surat,
All right. Okay, mashallah.
and like the last three surah. So a lot of people recite from there. Surat Yasin, a lot of people like reciting Surat Yasin.
Okay.
And
Can we talk about numbers? I mean, how many users do you have? And
yeah, I mean,
well, you tell me your numbers and your data, and what I'll do, and at the end I'll share the stats as well as we're talking.
yeah,
I'll edit it so the charts and things that come up.
I can send it to you after this session as well. But in Ramadan, I think we acquired, last I checked, it was 150,000 users.
Mashallah.
And
Awesome.
right now we have a total of so 100,000 of them are active. But overall, like since we've launched, like it was over 200,000, 300,000. I need to double check the numbers, but I know at least this Ramadan was like at least 100,000 folks who are active.
We could talk any popular countries. So we're saying Egypt, Malaysia. You got.
Yeah. Previously we had, so before Ramadan it was US, UK, Egypt, Nigeria. In terms of usage, I think it was like a 20, 15, 10, and then 10 split, and then we had various other countries. Now it's Malaysia, US, UK, and then Egypt, and Canada. So that's where like the ranking of our
that's brothers and sisters, yeah.
Yes, exactly, brothers and sisters. I think we have a 60-40 split of like male to female users, and like a 50-50 split of iOS and Android users.
Would the ML model improve if there was offline storage? Because I remember reading a long post that you weren't using people like Mishari or Khalid Al-Juhaim or
so for our data set, our data set, the one that we use for Tarteel, we don't use any professional reciters, but during training there's another data set called every ayah. So that's a data set of ayahs, split of the Quran split ayah by ayah, and that I think that's like 12 or 13 professional reciters. So we use that audio data set during training, so that helps us.
Would offline models, if the user subscribes to premium and he downloads offline models on their application device, because most people now, the smartphones, they store easily several gig from applications.
Yeah, we were thinking about that, and Muhammad has been experimenting with it. The main issue is really most of our users are, I mean, no offense to our users, but they're on very weak devices. Like we're seeing users have issues just with the rendering of the Quran. So this is I don't know for the first, but like this is one of the unique things we've done with the Quran rendering, is that typical Quran applications, they just give you a page like a PNG or like a vector. What we've done is we've split the Quran into like individual words, and I think Qur'an.com does this as well. By the way, we're also working on Qur'an.com. Abdul Latif is actually, that's part of his work, is basically helping redesign Qur'an.com and improve the tech stack and integrate some of Tarteel's features there. But we render each word on the Mus'haf individually, and the reason we do that is, of course, like at some point we want to highlight not just the individual words, but like the individual characters, so we can identify like, okay, you made a mistake in this character, you made a mistake in this character. So we have a bit of a long-term thinking in terms of like how we want to develop this. So each word is rendered individually, and that rendering is usually pretty expensive on the device. So usually some weird funky stuff happens, and we're still dealing with like weird Huawei devices from China, and that like don't render things properly. So that in and of itself is already computationally expensive. When you add the ML model on device, like that just like burns your phone basically. At that point, like it's fried. So maybe what we're thinking of doing is, once we have a stable ML model that we understand like is going to perform well, and that basically it's just like a process of improvement, we can start shipping, for example, to like the iPhone 12s and inshallah the 13s, because those I know have like dedicated AI chips. And then as Android devices catch along, like maybe the Samsung and whatnot, those devices can have on-device, basically like offline speech to text. I think this will probably be free, given that it's part of the voice recognition, and just like the typical Quran experience. And like it's cheaper for us because we don't have to host an ML model in the cloud, so
Yeah.
it's better for us. What will be premium though, is mostly going to be related. So internally, so we have two things that we're never going to budge on. Is basically the Quran reading experience will remain free, and there will be no ads in the app.
Okay.
That's like a P0 for us. Like,
Yeah.
those two are critical. What's premium is anything like auxiliary or ancillary to that experience. So statistics, badges, tracking, and gamification. That's going to be premium. The things that we're working on right now is goals and gamification. So thinking about this from a product perspective, like, and I mean this in the best way, is how do you get people addicted to the Quran? Like that's what we want to do. Like we have some of the building blocks, and the next step is like, how do you keep someone focused on having a daily word with the Quran? And so some of the things we're thinking of is basically setting goals, having a Quran circle. So like having like a social group in Tarteel saying like, hey, we're gonna hold ourselves accountable. Having, I don't know if we're familiar with Anki style like memorization. How do we gamify the process of like memorizing or like reciting the Quran? So for example, like this obviously isn't something that's well thought out, but like something that I've been brainstorming about is, okay, let's say I'm memorizing a page. I know that this page is pretty good, so I have like a bar or like a tracker to say like, okay, this page is solid, like Surah Yasin and Surah
A grading.
Solid.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
Really good.
Yeah.
I was just thinking the same, especially if you get like if there's a teacher behind it. I was just getting to that now, and they were to use the application as a route. There's so many ideas. There are so many ideas where you can take it.
Yeah. So one thing
we've
been
doing,
to
grade.
Yeah,
contribute towards the ML. It'll contribute towards the ML model as well.
I was just pitching this in the last week of Ramadan to the team. They're not inclined to do it, but I'm going to pitch it here so that maybe you guys can start screaming in their faces. Maybe the users can scream in their face and tell them, "Yo, you need to do this." Is basically now that this ties back into like some of the audio collection. So, like I mentioned before, we're working on just raw audio. Once you finish the session, that audio is stored into a WAV file. So we save it for you. So at some point in the app, what we want to show you is your recording. So you can see your sessions in the app. What we want to do is also show you the recording of that session so you can listen to it again and maybe share it with someone else. But one feature we want to add is basically like, okay, tell someone to revise this for me. And so what happens is you just click this button, and in the background, like, maybe in like an hour or two, it gets sent to a sheikh. A sheikh revises your recording and gives you feedback on it. But then for us, he labels the audio for us, and that helps us improve our ML model because like we get an accurate label of the session. So it helps the user get feedback on the recitation, but then it also helps us improve like the ML model as well. So that's one of the ideas like I was thinking in terms of like Quran recitation. I know you also had a question on privacy. I don't know if you want me to address that now, given that we're here, or we can jump to that. Yeah.
Jump to it.
Yeah. This is actually one of the main questions we get is like, what do you guys do with the audio, with the data that you have? So we do have a public data set. This was the audio that was all collected on the website. That audio we are allowed, given the privacy policy.
These were Hufaz then, yeah?
No, these were ordinary Muslims reciting the Quran.
All right, okay.
We actually have a paper that we're writing on this that we're going to publish soon, inshallah, about the data set we collected initially on our site. That one is going to be public, and I know most people are fine with it. The data we've collected in the app, however, given the privacy policy we have, we can't share that data. Unfortunately, that's where most of our data is, but we need to respect users' privacy. So all the audio data in the app that's been collected in the app belongs to the users. and it's not publicly accessible. No one can access it. And that's, I think, the only personal data that we collect. The other thing we collect is just emails. So those are the only two pieces of information we collect. We don't collect age. We don't collect any other statistics. We do use Firebase for aggregate information about our users, but we don't have individual data. The only individual data points that we have is basically email and your Qur'an sessions, like the Qur'ān AI.
Okay.
So yeah.
Perfect. I'm gonna wrap up. I think just the nature of YouTube. People only listen to so long. I can talk to you all day. Let me wrap up with these next questions, and then I'll touch base with you on a few project ideas that I've got as well with you. So guys, we're going to do the rapid fire questions. We're just going to ask Brother Anas rapid questions. You can leave questions either on my blog, on YouTube, or you can reach out to the Tarteel team directly. I will forward them the comments as well that they will share. This video will be tweeted on Tarteel and their channels, and you can reach out to them. The rapid fire questions. So 3 fun facts about yourself.
3 fun facts about myself. I like coffee a lot. As you can see, I'm drinking some right now. I love the mountains. So every time I get the chance, I love going on mountains. And then, Allahumma salli Sayyidina Muhammad. I talk to robots. That's one thing.
Okay. MashaAllah. 3 trends that excite you in this technical world. 3 trends that excite you.
3 trends that excite me. The Egyptian startup community and the Middle East startup community. So I think Egypt is slowly going to have its first unicorn soon, inshallah.
Egypt, Nigeria brothers, reach out to us.
Masrum ad-dunya.
No, on that, it is one of my questions, which I didn't get the time to ask you, is in terms of the Arab world, in terms of tech, the interesting regional developments, and it's a topic that's just waiting to be explored. I think Egypt, I'm definitely in agreement with you, especially in the Middle East, North Africa. The brothers there, it's very exciting. It's just, they're very humble as well.
A lot of talent, mashallah. Yeah. Like lots of talent. I mean, Allah and Muhammad are Egyptian, so like I can't say anything bad about them.
I think the other thing, actually, on a serious note, because like with the subcontinent regions, the outsourcing that has gone on there for so long, and the cheapening of developers and the cheapening of work, it had a major impact in the Middle East with our particular profession. I'll get somebody else to do it for so many. It's just not working. And all the things that you said about Quran, the problem solving that goes in with the Muslim world and tech, this is something that we will not advocate out of this mentality.
Exactly.
What inspires you? Anything particular?
So one thing I always make dua for is Allah uses us to the best of our abilities to serve the ummah. So we've had people like volunteers on this project come and go, but the only thing I've realized is that they've actually moved on to do things that are better suited to their tasks. So I feel I don't know what like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan is for me, but I always know that He has the best of plans. He's the one who plans the best of affairs. So I feel like just his knowing that He has the best of plans is
beautiful answer.
What inspires me. So,
I'm gonna put the speed timer on, right?
Go for it.
The speed timer. The duas are out, yeah. So a mistake you've made and one that you've learned from.
A mistake that I've made.
First thing that comes to head.
I'm assuming it doesn't have to be tech related. So a mistake that I've made is actually being saying half truths. So from before, I used to be very I used to be fine with saying half truths. So it's like not full lies, but like half lies. Like I'm not saying a lie, but I'm technically saying the truth. But I realized exactly. And but
I think that's a developer thing. That I have that. That's
I think so. But like slowly, I began to realize, like, yeah, it's alhamdulillah, like it may be like a Bay Area thing. I don't know, because like when you're in that startup culture, like you see a lot of people say like half truths or white lies, and so it just becomes like normalized. After I left the Bay Area, I realized like, okay, hold on, this actually isn't fine. And so alhamdulillah, like I'm starting to like realign my mental model so that I always say like full truths and not half truths. So that's one thing I've learned. So yeah.
Thank you very much for that. So one book, any books you've read recently?
One book I'm reading now, a friend of mine just gave it to me, is it's called An Introduction to Islamic Theology.
Put it up, I'll put my Amazon link next to it.
Yeah, it's from Zaytuna College.
Give your endorsement.
I love Zaytuna College's books.
So do I.
Yeah, so that's one book I've been reading, but one book I do recommend reading, it's called Adab al-Suhba wal-Mu'ashara. I don't know if there's an English translation, but it's basically the Adab al-Suhba, like how do you have good manners and finding good friends and engaging with people. I think it's Imam al-Ghazali. It's a very short book. It's like a 75 pages, but it's very beautiful, mashallah. Otherwise,
if there was
this is good.
Sorry, Anas, if there was an idea that you were going to give, any idea, just for the users. I mean, I get questions from developers all the time. I wish I did this, I wish I did that, I wish I did X. People are like, one idea that you can give out. We already give out the Middle East, North Africa idea, guys. So the CDN in the Middle East, please feel free. Any ideas?
Does it have to be tech related or not?
No, it doesn't. It's your answer.
Yeah. So one thing I've found is in the US, there's a lot of funding. In the MENA and Pakistan and Malaysia, there's a very weak startup ecosystem. And I feel like there's a lot of untapped talent waiting to be unlocked. And one of the people that I'm working with, he has this idea like of having like a VC style like fund and or accelerator in Pakistan. So really investing in Nigeria and Africa and Egypt. Egypt's already like alhamdulillah booming, but I feel like in Saudi and Bahrain, Kuwait, Pakistan, there's a lot of untapped potential there. So yeah, I think any sort of support there is I think it's a gold mine waiting to be unlocked. So
Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, he made the 1 million Arab coders. I don't know if you heard about the campaign. It was a few years ago, but it died down because, well, I think things like that will take off, especially in terms of Egypt. I've seen quality in Kuwait as well, surprisingly. Qatar and Bahrain, yeah, but Egypt's on a different level now. They're on a different level.
Yeah, Egypt is
coming up.
Exactly. Well, I see it's getting a lot of people from Egypt too. Like I've seen in the recent batches, Y Combinator has a few like Egyptian startups, Instabug and
really okay.
Yeah, so they're doing pretty good.
Okay, one person you'd love to see an interview or meet.
I feel like this is going to be very cliche, but honestly, like the Prophet ﷺ, like I feel like that's.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be very cliche, but I mean, in terms of like that's who I'd love to meet, honestly. But,
perfect. I mean, this is what we talk about, Muslim developers and Muslim. This is what the channel's about, Muslim. Somebody did this at work the other day, and they said it's like one of the these corporate games. If you go back in time, this is going to happen, and you go down to the. So it's my turn to answer, but I didn't get the answer of the time machine. I wanted the answer, and somebody was talking about this particular music artist, and it was Muslim. Al-Ghibatu ashaddu min az-zina, but I was very surprised at their answer because they were talking about this music artist, and they had the opportunity to travel in time. You are going to see the Prophet ﷺ. People cry day and night and dreams. Who else are you going to go and see? Exactly. If that the possibility did exist, where else are you going to go?
Yeah, there's no better opportunity, honestly. So yeah, alhamdulillah.
And you've already answered what you're working on now. But if there's anything else that you'd like to share, I mean, forgive me for any mistakes as well, and may Allah forgive us for anything that we said and done. But if there's anything else you want to add or share or or else you're for the viewers?
No, I mean, honestly, one question I get a lot is like, how can we help Tarteel? I love the enthusiasm people have when they see the project and like how they can help out. Right now, like at this very stage, really the best thing you can do is use the application, because that just helps us with like our ML model and improving it, making dua, and if you have the financial means, buy premium. Like that helps us cover our costs. If you want to donate, sure, you can donate. But really, the best thing you can do is just use the application, and that's the best thing we can do. Inshallah, like soon, once we have a structure and whatnot, maybe we'll be able to hire people and actually like engage like the Muslim community and have them work on things that relate to them. Like I have a few friends, like we always sit down and brainstorm every now and then. Like there's a lot of problems like the Muslim community has that really need like not just tech, but like business related like mindsets and applications. Like having these people who are spiritually and religiously motivated to work on a problem, like that helps accelerate, not only their career progression, but also like the ummah and the Muslim, like, the world is it's a combination that needs to happen sooner rather than later. And putting like the incentives in terms of like financial incentives, career incentives to get people to do that, I think is going to be very important. And my hope is that at some point we also have like a competitor, because like that helps us, improve. Having monopoly on things, usually keeps you like stagnant. But when you have,
I think that's my favorite answer. So if I can share one with like the way you put it there. I mean, brothers and sisters, this is what my channel is about. So if you do have an application and you want to do an interview or review, and this is the idea of making a Muslim hub or a Muslim community or a bunch of Muslim developers who are resolving Muslim problems. There are a lot of applications and companies out there which I've not managed to reach. So if you have got something that you wish to share or you want to talk about something, reach out, and we're building a community together. And it's only you guys who can contribute towards that. I agree with you 100%, bro. There's so many. I mean, I don't know if you heard about Islamic Guru.
Of course.
Yeah,
I met with the brother, the two brothers
really?
that were
okay.
That is Islamic Financial Guru. Sorry, not that's IF.
Yeah.
Oh, is this the same one? Yeah. So that's
correct.
Yeah, I remember talking with him a while back. Mashallah, I love their model and their approach. So.
The start of like at the benchmark in the corporate world, and now even their applications. Have you used the Will application?
I have not, but I have heard of it. I've seen it. It's really good, mashallah. Like they've been doing a really amazing job. I think we're on the same Discord server. There's like a Muslim like hackers Discord server. I remember one of the founders was there. But anyway, like they're like that's the kind of like innovation I want to see. The good bid'ah.
Definitely. Yeah.
The good bid'ah.
Yeah, there is a car application I used this year, alhamdulillah, and I was taken away by it. The user experience, the program behind it, I think it was a PWA. So you could see a lot of, even the UI, the UX, the framework, the responsiveness, you could see the effort that somebody put in it. So Jazakallah khairan for your time. And please hit the like and subscribe button. And again, guys, leave your feedback below. Jazakallah khairan for Anas and the Tarteel team. It's unfortunate I didn't get to meet all the team. Everybody's, like Anas has said, everybody's traveling in different parts. But I'm sure we're going to do more videos with them soon. Please check out part 1 if you've not already seen it, where I go through the Tarteel application. And my review, the Tarteel is always improving and going forward. So, Jazakallah khairan.
Jazakallah.
If you're still tuned in and you've listened all the way through this YouTube video and you've listened to this interview, please do download the Tarteel application. The links are in the description. Actually, the main link is to my blog. I talk about the review and you can get the links for the application. I've put the Twitter descriptions, the bios, the full interview transcription is there. I'm very humbled and very touched. I've marked off my first interview. And like you said, if you are an application developer or you have a Muslim idea or you want to reach out and you want to collaborate, please reach me. And please support my channel by sharing this, tweeting this and making noise over it. It'll go a long way for Tarteel and it will go a long way for myself and the Muslim Ummah. And it's a sadaqah jariyah for you. Recommend the application, or even my video might inspire other people. I'm so excited. I'm so like touched that Tarteel had given me this opportunity in this time, and I'm really satisfied that they were my first review. Jazakallah khairan and ahsan al-jaza.
لا يسمعون فيها لغوا ولا تأثيما إلا قيلا سلاما سلاما